Hi there everyone, Lars here with another D&D discussion brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And today I thought it'd be fun to return back to the whole setup I've done before, where I give 3 ideas that you might want to try as someone who leads a D&D campaign or plays D&D. This right here serves as a way to try to help enhance the shared storytelling that you do. Now, granted, these aren't foolproof ways to amazingly overhaul your story and make it somehow absolutely amazing. Rather, instead, these are suggestions that you can take as a way of spicing up your campaign, shaking things up with your characters. Or if you are the dungeon master, this is a way to try to encourage better role-playing and better storytelling on the part of your fellow players. And the reason why I'm doing this on a channel for writers is because, as I've said before in the past, there is a lot of correlation between how you play Dungeons and Dragons and writing. It requires the same creativity. It requires thoughtful planning. It requires understanding characters, motivations, high points, humor, all of this stuff. It's pretty incredible. Because essentially, playing through a campaign of Dungeons and Dragons is essentially a bunch of people getting together to write a story, even though they're not actually sitting down and writing it. Instead, they are playing it out. And I just think that there's a whole lot that can be learned from doing this. So let me give you 3 suggestions that might just spice up your story a little bit more and hopefully be a great time for you and the rest of the people that you play with. Idea number 1. Ability swap surprise. So think of it this way. In a certain encounter, everyone's best and worst abilities get jumbled around. The best attributes that each player has is swapped in a round robin with other characters. So think of it, a brilliant barbarian, a ripped wizard, a charismatic edgelord, a clumsy thief. There's just so much room for amazing reactions, interactions, problem solving. How does the dynamic within a team change when suddenly everyone's abilities get swapped about? Especially because they don't have the skills that necessarily go with that really great charisma modifier, or with that really great strength modifier, or dexterity modifier. And granted, I would not want you to do this throughout the entire campaign, because that kind of defeats the purpose of character building, but rather think of it like this. You have a room in this tower that they're trying to break into, and they get into the room really easily, but the room has a spell that swaps their abilities, and now they're locked in the tower, and the only way to get out is to break through the multiple levels of this tower with their abilities having been swapped. So you can do a bunch of really cool puzzles, some little challenges here and there on different floors, and this is essentially a way for the characters to come to appreciate where everyone is within the party and their different abilities. This right here is a chance for characters and their players to reflect on what they have built and their team dynamic, which I think will really bring out some of the best of the role-playing and the teamwork, which you definitely need in a good game of D&D, and really just makes for solid storytelling. D&D idea number 2, run afoul of a magical trickster. Here's my suggestion. Homebrew a creature or character who plagues the team with tricks when it is highly inconvenient for them. Maybe they've stolen something that they shouldn't have, or maybe they offended someone in a town that they shouldn't have. Maybe you have it where they come across this devilish little gnome in the woods who wants them to sit around, share some stories, but they don't feel like it, or maybe just pulls a prank on them and they react very negatively to it, and so now it just follows them and with its crazy magic just plagues them with these horrible jokes and pranks, as I said, when it's very inconvenient. And the only way that they can free themselves of this trickster is either by paying a price or by playing into the tricks, thereby either ensuing with some sort of great hilarity or showing that there are consequences for the actions that the characters take. And so this is a really great way of showing consequences, not in the usual way that a lot of D&D players think about it, where Your choices have consequences, usually leading to death. Nah, death is pretty big right here. What if it's just like, oh, I'm going to go reach for money to pay for this item. Why is it that I never have exact change? Well, the little trickster is stealing just enough coins away from you so that way you can never pay for what you want. Or maybe while you are talking to the guards, you suddenly just have a really bad sneezing fit, or you just can't help but put your foot in your mouth. Things like that. That just make it inconvenient so that way the players have to reconcile with this trickster. Maybe buy him a really nice whoopee cushion. Who knows? D&D idea number 3. Have each player write down in private the main motivation for the character that they have created. Do it before you begin the campaign. Then, as the Dungeon Master, or say you as the Dungeon Master, you plan ways in which you can test their determination for their goals, or maybe the moral standing of their goals. However it is that you decide to do this, but you want to understand their motivations and their goals, so that way you can test them. This way then, when you look at what kind of campaign you're planning, you can think of encounters and characters who will then challenge the very fiber of each one of your players' characters. So like, think for example, what if one of them is playing a paladin who wants to just convert all of these people in this town to their god? But what if this town is full of people who are just very happy to remain atheistic? Or what if the people that they convert turn out to just be awful people and bring shame upon the religion and shame upon their god? How will the paladin react in such a way where it's like, what you wanted to do isn't necessarily bringing people happiness and isn't bringing good in the name of your god? What does the paladin do in that situation? Or let's say, what if the spell, the greatest spell that the wizard character is going for, what if it comes at a serious cost to the party? And you put this in later on in the campaign. By the time that the wizards had a chance to really become a part of the group, would the wizard be willing to hurt the party for their goal by that point? Or are they willing to give up what has motivated them this entire time? Or what if a character is hell-bent on revenge, and you find out that the person who they are going to get revenge on has realized just how horrible they have been, and they are trying to make amends, genuinely and honestly? What do you do in that situation? Or what if the person that they're going to get revenge on is absolutely crucial to the peace and stability of the kingdom? Are you really willing to throw the lives of tens of thousands of people into chaos just so that way you can be justified? These kinds of conundrums that you plan ahead of time based on the motivations of your players and the players' characters will help you to create, or at least facilitate, good character moments. Now then, it does come down to the players to see how they will react, and you as the Dungeon Master have to respect the choices of your players, because remember, it is shared storytelling. You are just giving them a chance to enhance the story that they together are creating. So these 3 ideas will help you to hopefully create wonderful moments within the story, and as well as enhance the overall enjoyment and narrative of the campaign. So those are 3 new ideas for D&D. Tell me what you think, and tell me if you've ever had like a crazy cool experience where a Dungeon Master has introduced something new and unexpected within a story. I'd love to hear what kinds of encounters and experiences you've had. And that will do it for this video. If you are a writer who is looking, though, for some solid writing advice for your specific book, might I suggest heading on over to our podcast, Camille's Harem, where you will get some really great writing advice. You can also check out the other videos that we have here on the channel. Or if you're looking for some really great writing exercises, you can head on over to our Pinterest page, and we have writing discussions over at our subreddit. Links for all of those sites are down in the description. And I just want to thank you for joining us on this adventure that we call writing. It really does mean a lot that you are here, that you're watching our videos, that you are engaging with us. And I'd ask you to please consider subscribing to our channel. We have the goal of hitting 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. With your help, we can do it. So thank you very much. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.